Namaskar. Good evening, everybody. Allow me to welcome each one of you to the 11th NCPEDP Mphasis Universal Design Awards 2020. आप सबका मैं तहे दिल से इस्तकबाल करती हूँ इस बहुत महत्वपूर्ण फंक्शन के लिए. Friends, today is the International Day for Universal Access to Information. This was proclaimed by UNESCO a few years ago. So it is absolutely befitting for us to have this event today. Even though we are so used to having the event and other events in a physical format where we can see each other, but these are trying times, difficult times. However, technology is allowing us to at least be connected and still go ahead with the program as it would have normally. At the very outset, I'd like to welcome all the illustrious guests who have joined us today, beginning with our chief guest for the evening, Mrs. Shakuntala Dole Gamlin, Secretary, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, Ministry of Social Justice, Government of India. Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking out the time to be a part of this event. We'd also like to welcome Mr. Shrikant Kara, Chief Human Resource Officer, Mphasis, our illustrious jury for the awards, headed by Mr. Som Mittal, Chairman, Ncpdp, Ms. Mamta Kohli, Senior Social Development Advisor, Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, Mr. Nipun OS, AVP and Head CSR Mphasis, Professor PV Madhusudan Rao, Department of Design, IIT Delhi, and of course, Ms. Shilpi Kapoor, CEO, Barrier Break, awardees, ladies and gentlemen. Access symbolizes the true spirit of freedom. Over the years, accessibility has come to occupy the most identifiable cause that has unified the global approach towards disability. It has become the fulcrum to the disability rights movement globally. Accessibility does not imply access to physical spaces alone, but access to information technology, transport, services, aids, and appliances. To take a couple of examples, so far, only 0.05% of printed books are available in accessible formats to people with a print impairment. Still, most TV programs are not accessible to people with hearing impairment. Intrinsic to access is universal design, which means usable, practical, easy to apply, affordable, and usage with least physical effort, safe designing. To spread awareness about universal design, these awards, that is the NCPEDP Mphasis Universal Design Awards, were conceived of in 2010. Today, we take the opportunity to honor some persons and companies which have done exemplary work of design, ensuring a life of dignity for people with disability. This event is being live streamed on NCPDP's Facebook page and NCPDP's YouTube channel as well. Friends, you all know about NCPEDP, the National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People, which works as an interface between government, industry, international agencies, and the voluntary sector towards empowerment of persons with disability. And at the forefront of this organization today is Mr. Arman Ali, Executive Director, NCPEDP. May I request him for his opening address.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. Very warm welcome to everyone present here. Mrs. Gamlin will join us at around 5:15. I just got a message from her office. At the outset, I must congratulate to all the winners of the 11th NCPEDP Mphasis Universal Design Award. Without accessibility, all our fundamental rights remain unaccessible, something which we cannot exercise. Although this pandemic has brought in a lot of challenges for everyone, one thing that we people with disability and the people in the disability sector has learned is the importance of accessibility. This pandemic has made it realize to people that work from home was not something which was demanded by disabled people, was only for them. It is something which is universally needed. It is something universally accepted now. And few years back, the disability right activist or advocacy were doing a lot of advocacy around it to promote the idea of flexible working hours, the idea of accessible technologies. So like closed captioning that you have in many such online platforms now to be made available for people with disability. Access to information, I think, is very key for everybody. And during this pandemic and the lockdown, this has been made again very clear on everybody's mind that without access to information, it is absolutely difficult for anybody with or without disability to get any kind of resources that one might need to survive. It could be information, medicine, or basic ration. Today we have gathered here in these difficult times. I must thank each one of you for taking your time out for spreading the information about this 11th Helen Keller Award nomination. We have received many nominations and it was difficult for us to come to this final selections of the winner. And I must acknowledge that the kind of work that has been happening around accessibility is phenomenal. Be it education, be it health, or just access to information. I think there is very interesting work happening in our country. And these are a few such individuals and organizations who have been recognized. I hope in times to come, more such people will join in and we'll be able to bring in larger number of people to this kind of a platform. Without taking much time, I would like to again congratulate each one of the winners and hand it back to you, Sangeeta ji.
Thank you very much, Armanji. Friends, we now have a brief interview. Let me introduce the interviewer first to you. We all know Shilpi Kapoor, CEO Barrier Break. Shilpi is a pioneer and a leading figure for digital accessibility globally. She is one of the founding members of the NCPEDP Mphasis Universal Design Awards and has been a jury member for these since the very inception of the awards. Warm welcome to you, Shilpi. And she will be in conversation with Shrikant Kara, Chief Human Resource Officer Mphasis. Shrikant is an industry veteran and seasoned human resources professional, starting his career at ITC, going on to General Electric Capital International Services as their HR head. He then took over as country head HR for Hewlett Packard in India. He's been a constant supporter of the cause of the disability movement, both in his professional as well as his personal capacity. So we now have Shilpi Kapoor in conversation with Shrikant Kara. Over to you, Shilpi.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. Always a pleasure to be at NCPDP's Mphasis Universal Design Award. We just asking Mr. Kara to please just log in. He's just going to be joining us in a second. Like everything technology, there is always some glitch. So just give us a second to get Mr. Kara on. So while we wait for Mr. Kara, let me just talk a little about the amazing platform that we've created, that NCPDP and Mphasis have created for recognizing people who are role models and organizations working in the space of universal design. I think it's really critical to see the kind of good work that is happening within the country and to share that good with the society at large. And I'm so happy to see that the number of participants are increasing. And as we wait for Mr. Kara, we should just be able to start in a couple of minutes. So over the years, I found that in coming to these awards, we've seen such a shift. Like Sangeeta ji said, I've been a part of these awards right from day one. And it has been such an amazing shift to see the kind of people that are now doing some amazing work in this space, right? I think it will be great to see that even organizations like Mphasis are ensuring that they support such causes and are looking at how they change the ecosystem of innovation and ensure that technology is available to people with disabilities. So I think it's a commendable start, and I think we have Mr. Kara here. Hello, Shrikant. Welcome to the award. If I could ask you to please just put on your video, would be lovely. Okay, so while we wait for Mr. Kara, I'm just going to talk a little about what has been happening in the space of technology in India. And I think all of us are seeing that there is such a surge in people who are focusing on building inclusion. And while we are seeing that, we're seeing so many startups which are coming up in this space. And it is great to see that finally, as a jury, we actually had to spend the time and effort to decide on who we really wanted to award this year. So some of the things that we really need to consider at this point of time is we need to look at solutions that create a large impact, right? And that actually support a large group of people. As we know that within India, we struggle to get technology to the hands of disabled people. So, no, I can, but so I think it is interesting that today more and more organizations are focusing on this. We're seeing a lot of youngsters that are coming forward, and I think there is a surge in the number of people that are looking to support this cause. So I think we have Shrikant back. Shrikant, if you can just put on your video, please, that would be amazing. I'm hoping the net is going to support us in this conversation today. Okay, so I think we've got Shrikant live. Hi, Shrikant. If you can also unmute yourself. Fabulous.
Yeah, hi, Shivani, how are you?
I'm very well. That's Shilpi Shrikant. Nice to have you here.
My pleasure.
So after the little blurb that we've had of getting you here, let's dive right into the conversation. You've already been introduced. And I think we have seen you often enough in different forums. So I think the first question, Shrikant, for you today is, you see all these amazing innovations, innovators, and role models, and I'm sure you've heard from your team at Mphasis about the great dialogue that we had.
No. I think you've got the wrong Shrikant.
I guess I've got the wrong Shrikant. One second. Okay, this is one challenging technology day. Okay, Mr. Mittal, can I request you to come online, please?
On. I'm here, but somebody has to let my video on.
Okay. Mr. Mittal, you should have a button at the bottom to.
No, I'm on.
Here. Fabulous.
Hi, should be hi.
Hi, Mr. Mittal. So I thought you and I shall have a conversation today while we figure out tech as a base. So, sir, while we were going through this entire jury process, right, and you've seen it right from the start, what went through your mind when you saw all these amazing innovations, innovators, and role models that we were going through? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
No, I think the first is that we have so many different disabilities, and it's been going on for ages. And the good news is that today technology can change their lives so significantly. And sometimes we don't even realize that besides the new innovations that are happening, even the current innovations that are embedded in many, many of devices that we have, right, are changing the way people's lives are. And Ncpdp, along with Shilpi, the kind of work that you do, it's our job to make people aware of these features and so on that are available. Second, it's not natural for us to think of disabilities when we design. We design for able people, and I think this whole universal design, the meaning itself is that these designs and products and services, so it's not only products, it's services as well, are the ones that could be universal to all and not only to the able, and also for people who have disabilities. I think the December 2016 Act kind of changed the scenario even more by recognizing that we have 21 disabilities and not the 8. And we really compliment the government for having agreed to putting those 21 disabilities there. So many of them are of mental issues or those that relate to the brain-related matters, etc. But in every single case, we know technology can come in. And what is very endearing is that we have had people who are innovating who themselves are disabled, and hence they understand the issues. Even more endearing are people who are not disabled and can think for the disabled and come out with products. And then, of course, we have organizations who are doing it. So before we even talk about these awards are really to encourage these people to do what they're doing. But more importantly, I think it is that every company, their products, their websites, their services should actually be for the disabled. In fact, later on, I wanted to speak as well that it is a business imperative, it is a social imperative, but mind you, it is a very large population, both India and globally. And when we think of disabled, we should not ignore people who are disabled because of age, and today longevity is larger. So I think it's a very large segment that we're talking about. So Shilpi, I've seen progress happening over these years. We are very happy to see that people continue to invest. This COVID time, we were so impressed, and as you know, we had to spill over and have another day to discuss the entries, and I think all of them were very good. So it's encouraging, and we hope we can take it further.
Fabulous, sir. So, sir, when you think about companies like Mphasis, and you have, actually been in close contact as NASSCOM while you were there, with all of these amazing tech companies, and then you see a company like Mphasis, which comes forward and looks at innovation from a very different perspective and is willing to invest in innovation. So what would you tell companies like Mphasis and others, and how should they take on the Mphasis goodwill, and what can they do in this space to do more with Ncpdp and otherwise?
So I think I think we want to salute Mphasis because it's not the flavor of the year or month or times. They've been doing it for a long time. Second, it's not only the universal award or the projects that Ncpdp does with them. They have adopted disability as a theme, and they are doing it end to end. They talk about how they can give employment, how they can do designs, and we know that they are supporting startups who are creating these amazing products. I'm on the board of a museum, and they have become a partner there to ensure that the museum in all its flavors is accessible. So I think over these years, and people have changed and gone, and every person new that has come has been as committed as the previous one. We have seen these CEOs changing. We have seen people who are responsible for this initiative changing. But one thing which has remained is consistency of their support to the sector. And I hope there are many other corporate bodies who are also coming forward. They've done some very exemplary work. I can't list them all out here, but clearly Mphasis with what it's done. And, we have the other award, which is Mindtree Helen Keller Award as well. And then we have many of the other people who are working on employment. So we do hope that many more should come up and help. I just wanted to add, Shilpi, one more thing. When I speak to corporates, they tell me, oh, we are not working in disability or working in education. But I said we need help to educate people with disability. Can you give a little focus there? People tell me about the girl child. They say we are talking about schools. Everywhere, we must not forget that there's a special requirement for the disabled that they could access within the sphere that they have chosen to work.
Right. So, sir, I'm just going to ask Nipun to join us also. Very Nipun, good. If you can also just put on your video and your mic, please, that'd be great.
I'm not able to put my video on.
Can someone please help put on Nipun's video? Okay, we've got you live, Nipun.
Sorry about this. I'm Srikanth is trying, but he's not able to log in.
Not a problem. Just give him a couple of minutes and hopefully he'll get on. Till then, we shall ask you a question.
Yes.
So, Nipun, you drive CSR at Mphasis. And like what Mr. Mittal just said, Mphasis has been one of the...
Yeah, Srikanth is on.
Srikanth is
go ahead. Hi, at last I got in. It was like sorry.
Fabulous, Srikanth.
Hi.
We're really sorry that this happened today, but we now have both of you here. So we're going to shoot it to both of you. So Srikanth, it was a question I just asked Mr. Mittal, but I have to ask you this. So when you see all these amazing innovators and role models and innovations, what goes through Srikanth Tara's mind, who's been seeing this?
I've been, number one, I know it's very fortunate that I've been associated with it as part of Mphasis. So one is my official capacity, the other one is my personal capacity. And every time I attended this program, the first time I was not too sure what I was getting into. As Mr. Mittal, I heard him saying, my previous management team and the one previous to that was always encouraging this. And there I go following them and saying, okay, let me also see what this is all about. It was fascinating to see the kind of innovations. Whether a live conference, which unfortunately you cannot attend this time, and struggling with the technology, which needs a lot of innovation in technology for sure. But having said that, what goes through my mind? Innovation has been an incredibly passionate subject to me personally. So when you come out with some bright ideas which are going to change lives, which is really going to take literally disrupt the way we think, the way we act, the way we work, every which way. It really kind of fascinates the way the world is changing. This is change happening in front of you. And to me, that is the most exhilarating thing, what I see. Yep.
Great. So Srikanth, Mphasis has been doing so much and it's been going beyond charity at most times and looking at innovation. So what is Mphasis' perspective on the disability and innovation space? Can you highlight that for us?
Absolutely. I mean, inclusion, innovation has been the key tenets. Mr. Mittal pointed out, it's a principle, it's a key pillar, tenet by which we said we're going to do anything on, whether you call it CSR programs or whether any kind of, from Mphasis side, any kind of sponsorship has to be part of that particular pillar. So as I said, inclusion, innovation is a key pillar on which we support this. And we've been doing it for pretty long. But the most important thing we find is that the structural changes through advocating for policy, through supporting promising startups in disability, through innovative service delivery programs, are required for longer lasting and large scale changes. You can always do these small sponsorships and a small scale level interventions, but doing this at the structural to policy level has been a much more everlasting and much more solid kind of contribution, which I feel. So we align all our CSR programs accordingly, and that's a key tenet on which we operate, in simple words. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And Shrikant, you'll also invest in multiple ideas, to promote innovation in the disability space. And, NCPDP Emphasis Universal Design Award is one of the pillars that you've got. So can you also tell us about some of the other stuff that you're doing that will create the ecosystem for us?
Absolutely. I think I would also ask my key Lieutenant Nipun to add on. But to start with, we've been sponsoring AI-related machine learning, and that's something. We're a technology company, and therefore we invest a lot in technology. And right from IIITB to Ashoka to Plaksha University, some of these innovations which we are funding, or rather through encouraging. There are, I can name innumerable number which really not only touch the disability component of it, but also the overall ecosystem of employment to entrepreneurship to girl education. That's one of my favorites. And I think that is something that we've been doing a lot. And Nipun, anything else that you can think of?
That said, I just want to emphasize we have an exclusive focus on startups as well. Startups which focus on solutions.
Entrepreneurial, that's what,
yeah. That's, so basically we cover the whole gamut, right from policy advocacy to startups to even on the ground service delivery programs like the Uber program, where we are trying to promote accessible transport. So these are the three broad archetypes, let's say, of projects that we do.
Right. So I think Shrikant and Nipun, thank you so much. I know we've had a slightly burpy start to this, but as always, it is fabulous to have Mphasis supporting the disability sector and the Universal Design Awards. So really appreciate it. Sangeeta ji, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shilpi. That was handled really well by you, despite the minor glitch that we had. So that was Shilpi Kapoor, CEO Barrier Break, in conversation with the chairperson NCPDP, Mr. Sommittal, Shrikant Kara, CHRO Mphasis, and also was joined by Mr. Nipun OS, AVP and Head CSR Mphasis. Thank you once again, Shilpi, for that. Friends, now we move on to the awards ceremony itself. The 11th NCPDP Mphasis Universal Design Awards 2020. I'm sure it's not been easy for our illustrious jury to have finally come up with these names, because there must have been a whole flurry of entrants. But like I said, the jury is illustrious enough, so they have selected the names which we'll take soon. Friends, the awards are divided into 4 categories, and I will speak about each category as we go along. Starting with category A, which is persons with disabilities. Awards under this category are given to people with disabilities who have created an impact in accessibility and universal design in any area, such as built environment, transport infrastructure, service provision, information and communication technology or ICT, assistive technology in their professional or personal capacity. Under category A, the first award goes to Raghavendra Satish Peri from Secunderabad, Telangana. A digital accessibility evangelist, Raghavendra Satish Peri works with DECU Systems as Senior Accessibility Consultant. He authors an accessibility blog at digitalally.com. He's also the founder of Hello Ally, a community of accessibility professionals, developers, and enthusiasts. Let's listen to Raghavendra Satish Peri himself.
Hi, I'm Ravindra Singh, a digital accessibility evangelist. I run digital11y.com, a blog focusing on web accessibility, mobile accessibility, and assistive technology. I also run Hello 11y, a community where we do conferences, meetups, skill development, and help people with disabilities also find employment. I won the NCPEDP Award 20 Universal Design Award 2020 for my work in the accessibility space. And this award and recognition by NCPEDP solidifies the idea that whatever work I'm doing is important and uh, impacting lots of millions of lives across the globe. So every app, every software, every website that we make accessible is empowering and helping people with disabilities and people who has special needs. Thank you.
Congratulations, Raghavendra, for that. The second awardee, Dr. Vikrant Sirohi from Haridwar, Uttarakhand. Dr. Vikrant Sirohi is Senior Medical Officer at Roorkee Municipal Corporation and Medical Superintendent, Community Health Center, Bhagwanpur, Roorkee, Uttarakhand. He believes that accessible healthcare services are the right of people with disabilities, even in a pandemic, and has successfully demonstrated the same at his CHC. He contributed silently to access to improved sanitation and promoted accessible and inclusive WASH for persons with disabilities. Let's hear it from Dr. Vikrant Sirohi.
डॉक्टर विक्रांत सिरोही है। यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन अवार्ड भारत में हर वर्ष उन व्यक्तियों या उन संस्थाओं को दिए जाते हैं जिन्होंने सुगम्यता के क्षेत्र में अनुकरणीय कार्य किया। भारतवर्ष में विभिन्न प्रकार के रोल मॉडल हैं जिन्होंने सुगम्यता के क्षेत्र में अनुकरणीय कार्य किए हैं। इस कोरोना महामारी में मेरे पास डीओपीटी का विकल्प था, लेकिन मैंने इस विकल्प को नहीं लिया क्योंकि एक चिकित्सक होने के नाते मुझे लगा कि यह मेरा समाज के प्रति एक दायित्व है जिसे मैंने बखूबी निभाया। हमारे यहाँ जिला हरिद्वार में ब्लॉक भगवानपुर में हमने एक आइसोलेशन वार्ड की स्थापना की जिसमें हमारे द्वारा कोविड केयर सेंटर बनाया गया। लेकिन सिर्फ एक्सेसिबिलिटी या सिर्फ रैंप बना देने से ही हमारी इस चीज का निराकरण नहीं हो सकता। इसमें स्वच्छता समावेशी भी जरूरी है, जिसमें रुड़की नगर निगम पिछले 3 वर्षों से लगातार 3 वर्षों तक स्वच्छता की श्रेणी में अव्वल रहा। मैं अपने छोटे प्रयासों को एनसीपीईडीपी द्वारा जो पुरस्कार से नवाजा गया, मैं उनका तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं डॉक्टर विक्रांत सिरोही। The next awardee, Ravindra Singh from Mumbai, Maharashtra. Ravindra, a person with a locomotor disability, is the founder of My Udan, a technology-driven startup offering solutions to mobility-related issues. Ravindra has developed the VGO, a wheelchair attachment that can convert any manual wheelchair to motorized one. The device can be attached easily by the wheelchair user himself without any external help, and this gives independence and freedom to move out independently. Let's have Ravindra Singh.
My name is Ravindra Singh. I am the founder of My Udan.
Dear friends, I am a person with special ability. I go through the pains of being one every day. But then I decided I will make the change. I will lead. After all, it is my dignity. My quest was to bring mobility to people like me. And that's how we conceive WeGo. It is a wheelchair attachment that converts any manual wheelchair to a motorized wheelchair. A person on a wheelchair can himself attach without any additional help, which gives him dignity and independence. WeGo is better comparatively to venture outdoors, giving a sense of freedom to person with disability. Our product has been designed for affordability and ease. It is powered by lithium-ion battery, replacing the age-old battery technology. It is my firm commitment to empower my community. I am really thankful to NCPEDP for the resolve towards my community, and I am greatly inspired by them to carry out my work with more determination. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ravindra ji, for that invention as well as for the award. We now move on to category B, which is working professionals. Awards in this category are given to people who work for the cause of accessibility and universal design in any area, as mentioned before, built environment, transport infrastructure, ICT, etc., etc. He or she may be an employee of an institution or a consultant or even a freelancer and should have contributed significantly to the cause. In this category, the first award goes to Sandeep D. Ranade from Pune, Maharashtra. Nad Sadhana, a groundbreaking new app developed by Sandeep Ranade, helps everyone create and experience music without limits. It is designed for singers, instrumentalists, and composers of all genres: Hindustani, Carnatic, Western, jazz, music of all ages, of all levels, for students, experts, teachers, and of all abilities, including hearing impairment, visual impairment, and color blindness. Let's hear it from Sandeep.
Nada Sadhana is a new app that pushes the boundaries of music, technology, and design to help everyone create and experience music without limits. It's designed to allow musicians of all genres, ages, levels, and abilities to practice, perform, and publish their best music anytime, any place, and make musical magic truly without limits. In March, I got an email from Amar Jain, who is a visually impaired advocate and who had loved the app but couldn't use all of the features due to the incomplete support for accessibility at that point in time. Over the next few weeks, I redesigned the app to be fully accessible. And Amar's excitement and joy when he sang with the app was so wonderful to behold, and it made all of the effort worth it. I am deeply honored to be awarded with the NCPEDP Mphasis Universal Design Awards.
Thank you, Sandeep, and hearty congratulations to you. Anupam Kumar Garg from Noida, Uttar Pradesh. Anupam Garg is an IIT Kanpur computer graduate with more than 3 decades long experience in IT software space. He took an early break on his successful professional career to work with people with visual disabilities, helping them learn maths and science through products like Geom Kit, Braille Line View Slate, and the Braille 8 Unicode system. Let's hear it from Anupam Kumar Garg himself.
While education is a fundamental human right, yet most of the present curriculum, unfortunately, is designed for students with good eyesight. This poses a great challenge for the visually impaired students. Geometry has been the most eye-intensive branch in maths. Incidentally, you need to construct embossed geometrical patterns. GeoMKit is designed exactly to fulfill that need. Incidentally, all the geometrical constructions at per NCERT class 6 to 10 syllabus has been successfully made using GeoMKit. GeoMKit is presently at go-to-market stage, looking for support. It needs to reach all those visually challenged and visually impaired students who want to pursue career in maths. A recognition at a platform like NCPEDP would definitely make this endeavor much easier. Thank you.
Congratulations, Anupam. The next awardee in this category is Adarsh Hasija, Bengaluru, Karnataka. Adarsh Hasija has keen interest in accessibility and a background in app development. Working largely with people with speech and hearing disabilities, he has developed several apps. Let's Talk allows speech impaired people to communicate their feelings using pictures. Stars Earth is a chat box which helps the user learn sign language. One, an Android app, helps visually impaired people learn and practice their typing skills without needing a laptop or a desktop. Suno, Be My Ears, for iPhone users, uses speech-to-text technology to help a hearing impaired person communicate. This year, he has released a new version of Suno called Suno Deco, which assists people with visual disability. Let's hear it from Adarsh himself.
I'm Adarsh. I'm a consultant and app developer by profession. Over the last several years, I've created a lot of apps in the accessibility space. more often than not using the latest technologies, because I believe that in doing so, one can create a level playing field. I'd like to share two examples. One is a chatbot that I designed back in 2016 to promote Indian Sign Language. Chatbots were very new at the time, and I decided to use it, and I got appreciation for that effort. The second example is my latest effort, which is an app called Sunandego, which helps the visually impaired and the deafblind see the world around them using the phone's camera. This is not just available on smartphones, it's also available on smartwatches. So once again, I'm using the latest technologies. I believe the Universal Design Award recognizes efforts in this space, and that is why I applied for it, and that is why I'm very grateful to receive this award.
Congratulations, Adarsh, and absolutely fantastic work. Naveen Kumar M, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Naveen Kumar has developed a lightweight wheelchair for children with disabilities, which has sitting, standing, sleeping, and stair climbing abilities. He has also developed a spring-assisted crutch, which, because of the incorporation of helical spring, is less painful in the underarms than a normal crutch, thereby enabling the user to walk longer distances through its use. Let's hear it from Naveen.
Good morning to one and all present here. I am Naveen Kumar from Chennai. My startup provides assistive solutions for physically disabled people at affordable price. The product standing wheelchair weighs 14 kgs and can travel thrice the distance for the same push when compared to a normal wheelchair. The wheelchair costs around 14,000 rupees, while the electrical competitors available in the market cost around 4 lakhs to 10 lakh rupees. My vision to make innovation accessible to the last differently abled person to realize their dreams coincide with the vision of Ncpedp. This Mphasis Universal Design Award would further proliferate our growth to help us make a positive impact on the society. Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Congratulations, Naveen. Now, friends, the Ncpdp Mphasis Universal Design Jury Award. We have a jury award under category B, and that goes to Dr. Srinivas Poppala from Telangana. Dr. Poppala is the Deputy Transport Commissioner, Adilabad and Karimnagar, Government of Telangana. Dr. Poppala has trained 40 persons with hearing disabilities who were denied driving license to pass the theory and practical driving test, and also how to overcome the hearing loss during driving. Let's hear it from Dr. Srinivas Poppala, who gets the Universal Design Jury Award under category B.
Namaskaram. Thanks to NCPEDP and Mphasis for selecting me to Universal Design Awards 2020. In this program, we have selected 50 different persons. For them, we have given a training for 3 hours in our premises on road rules and regulations and how to counter the deficiency in hearing. They have cleared all theory test and practical test, and they got the driving licenses, and now they are all happy and they are moving with dignity in the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Srinivas Poppala, and congratulations. Friends, we move on to the third category, which is...
Sangeeta ji, I think Mrs. Gamlin has just joined us, Secretary, Department of Empowerment for Persons with Disabilities. Good evening, ma'am.
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking our time. We have just...
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Sangeeta ji. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. We have just finished with 2 categories of award. We are moving to the third category. We have with us Mr. Srikant Kara, who is the CHRO of Mphasis, Mr. Nipun, who heads CSR from Mphasis, the chairperson for NCPEDP, Mr. Som Mittal, and all the awardees. We have with us Ms. Silpi Kapoor, also Srikant. My apologies for all the glitches that that just happened, and Mrs. Gamnin has taken our time out for this. It's very encouraging for all of us, especially the awardees, and they have a lot of hope into the department specialists, ma'am. Thank you so much. Sangeeta ji, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Warm welcome to our chief guest for the evening, Ms. Shakuntala Dole Gamlin, Secretary, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, Ministry of Social Justice, Government of India. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. Later on, of course, we will have your keynote address. We continue with the awards for the moment. So, category C, which is companies or organizations. Awards in this category are given to those companies or organizations which have taken up the cause of accessibility and universal design in any area, as mentioned before. Companies or organizations that have been led to recruit or serve people with disability and provided them with equal opportunity to the best of their abilities. These could be educational institutes, NGOs, corporates, government bodies, public sector, SMEs, sole proprietorships, and so on and so forth. Under this category, the first award goes to Tactopus Learning Solutions Private Limited, Bengaluru, Karnataka. Tactopus uses technology to make early learning and development better for the children with vision and cognitive disabilities. They do this by making multi-sensory active learning products and providing a platform for educators, parents, and the students to connect online.
If you walk into a children's store, you'll see a flood of resources. And yet, if you're a parent of a child with a vision impairment or a specific cognitive disability, your options come down to almost none. This is where Tactopus comes in. We create multi-sensory learning resources by bringing together the physical and the digital using technology that you can see, touch, and hear at the same time, hence enabling access to this information using any of your senses. We've also taken care to design all our material in a way that it's equally attractive to all children, hence enabling children with and without disabilities to play and learn at a level field.
Thank you and congratulations. The next award in category C goes to Truce Consulting Services Private Limited, that is True Consultancy Assistive Technology from Bengaluru, Karnataka. At True Consultancy Assistive Technology, they develop assistive technology products of international standards that enable disability inclusion. The first solution, Turn Plus, launched in the second half of 2017, is an award-winning, patent-pending, easy-to-install swivel seat mechanism for cars, which addresses a very important aspect of easy commute for the people with disabilities, thus creating an inclusive ecosystem.
Hello, my name is Anand from True Consultancy Assistive Technology. We design and develop world-class assistive devices to enable differently able people. Our goal is to empower the differently able so that they can be a part of the mainstream. Awards and recognitions from organizations like Ncpedp, Mphasis Universal Awards gives us a lot of encouragement and more will to keep developing such products and help in this endeavor. Thank you very much once again for this recognition. It means a lot to us.
That was Anand Kutre representing Truce Consulting Services. Kidora Innovations Private Limited, Nashik, Maharashtra. Autism spectrum disorder encompasses a range of conditions that makes it difficult to be identified and is a challenge for someone with little or no expertise, including parents and preschools, to distinguish an autistic child amongst typically developing children. Kidora Screenplay, a digital game-based screening tool, helps in identification of children who have mild autism and are mislabeled or not identified.
Hello, I am Shiv, co-founder of Kidora Innovations. The journey for Kidora started 2 years back with the vision of enhancing the life of children in their formative years of growth and development. We started our journey by developing an AI-based autism screening tool to early identify children with autism and developmental disorders. Autism is one of the conditions that is very difficult to identify at an early age and which leads to children facing more challenges at later stages of their lives. And this is where our innovations comes. Currently, with the time and situation created due to COVID-19, we have started working on technological solutions that will enable and provide access to home-based therapies to children with developmental disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiv, and many, many congratulations to you. Flexmo Technologies Private Limited, New Delhi. Flexmo was started to develop assistive devices for the people with disabilities. Their product, Flexmo Crutches, is the world's first self-standing crutch. Flexmo Crutches are a design improvement of the traditional crutch, crafted to improve the mobility of a person with locomotor disability. By using specially crafted metal flexures, base tip design, the Flexmo crutch substantially improves the stability and mobility of a patient. The design additionally increases grip on rough terrains such as sand, pebbles, and wet surfaces, and it can be used by all, irrespective of abilities, size, and training level.
Hi everyone, my name is Arun from Flexmo Technologies, and we have made Flexmo Crutches with universal design principles in mind. With our crutches, people with limited mobility will be able to walk on any type of surfaces, be it sand, snow, or even wet bathroom surfaces without the fear of slipping down, and that too without getting tired at all. Our crutches can be used by any age group starting from children to elderly because it's very intuitive to use and it is based upon the design of our human foot. Our crutches are self-standing, meaning they can stand on its own and we need not hold on to it while sitting down or while not using the crutches. Also, it is very easy to dismantle our crutches and they can be carried on trains, buses, or even aircraft without any difficulty. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvind, for that fabulous creation and hearty congratulations. Friends, we now move over to the next category, which is the Javed Abidi Public Policy Award. The Ncpdp Mphasis Javed Abidi Public Policy Awards for Universal Design are granted in recognition of those carrying forward the legacy of Mr. Javed Abidi. This award is given to one organization and one individual, recognizing their path-breaking work in ensuring a level playing field for people with disabilities to access the same opportunities as others. The first Javed Abidi Public Policy Award for the year goes to Arun Kumar Singh from Jharkhand. Arun is the president of the Jharkhand Viklang Manch and Secretary General of the Rashtriya Viklang Manch. That's the National Confederation of the Disabled. He has facilitated and strengthened the Jharkhand Viklang Manch and spread the movement to 10 other states. He has filed many public interest litigations and got judgment in favor of persons with disabilities and with regard to employment and accessibility at various places, selection and recruitment of visually impaired candidates, and other issues. He's also filed a PIL for accessible government website of Jharkhand, conducted access audit for government and volunteer organizations of Jharkhand and Odisha. He was appointed as the member of the Steering Committee of General Election of India 2019 for ensuring accessible election process for persons with disabilities. Arun Kumar Singh. Karpagam M. Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Karpagam is a lawyer at Madras High Court and is a very passionate person with visual impairment. Karpagam is a disabled rights activist, social engineer, and lawyer. He's the CEO of Voice for Voiceless Indian People Foundation, or VVIP, that has created entrepreneurs and employability skills for 10 hearing and speech impaired people. She also filed more than 400 RTI applications to make an assessment, audit on the rights of persons with disability. She has fought many PILs on issues such as accessibility for people with disabilities across 38,000 temples, In Tamil Nadu, Special Olympic Bharat case to weed out corruption in the games of special children. During COVID-19 pandemic, she obtained order to rescue intellectually disabled stranded on the pavements, resulted in rescuing more than 200 intellectually disabled persons to the government homes by the State Disability Commissioner.
Hi, this is Karpagam Ravi. I am very delighted and happy to receive this Mphasis Universal Designs Award 20.
Some audio issues there with Karpagam. I guess we'll go ahead.
And my important work are regarding the court cases of temple accessibility for all persons with disability in the state of Tamil Nadu, and welfare and service accessibility for intellectually disabled people. And I am also working on other related, accessibly related public interest litigations. And through our organization Voice for the Voiceless Indian People Foundation, we have created employment opportunity for nearly 10 hearing impaired people, and we are in the process of other works through our organization VVIP. I dedicate this award to my parents, and I thank Padma Venkatraman Madam for nominating me to this award, and I also dedicate this award to my senior R. Prabhakaran sir. And thank you Mphasis again for this Universal Designs Award 2020.
Congratulations, Karpagam, and for keeping the legacy of Mr. Javed Abidi alive. Friends, we now have a Javed Abidi Public Policy Jury Award. And this goes to Kausar Jameel Hilali from Guwahati, Assam. Mr. Hilali was formerly the State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities in Assam from 2018 to 2020. He has worked extensively on implementation of provisions of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. He issued repeated written correspondences and notices that caused some positive movement, and departments responsible for infrastructure creation that began issuing instructions to subordinates to adhere to guidelines. One such instance was issuance of instructions by Chief Engineer PW Buildings Department to all the executive engineers of the state to comply with the guidelines. During the assembly elections in 2019, advocated for a fully accessible election for persons with disabilities, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, he ensured prompt assistance for distribution of dry ration and medicines to people with disabilities in need across the state. He also ensured that the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, National Health Mission, and DIPR produced government advisories and other publicity material on COVID-19 in accessible formats. Schools being closed for months, he facilitated the conducting of classes through YouTube channels for students.
One of the principal concerns that is sought to be addressed through the word of law is the creation of a barrier-free physical environment for persons with disabilities, so that their dependence on people for support ceases over time. Now, the movement towards achieving this has been very slow and incremental, but that is only part of the problem. Access to information, to learning, to support systems for those in need, access to justice, to services that every person with disabilities is entitled to under the law, among others, still continue to be a low priority. So, while it makes immense sense to focus on the use of ICT and on universal design, I think we can't afford to stop focusing on the basics. By basics, I mean lobbying and pressurizing authorities into compliance with the law, and this will have to continue. Ncpdp and Mphasis have already correctly and laudably identified accessibility and universal design as the pivots around which the rights of persons are to be secured. By highlighting good corporate practices and appreciating individual and civil society efforts, the two organizations are creating just the right ambience for others to step forward and contribute their might towards safeguarding the rights of persons with disabilities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kausar, and hearty congratulations to you. Friends, we have now the NCPEDP Mphasis jury recommendations. So these are special mentions and recognitions as decided by our illustrious jury under 2 categories. So under category A, the jury recommendation, Ketan Kapoor B from Pune, Maharashtra. Ketan works as D&I HR consultant at Siemens India Private Limited. Ketan volunteered in advocating with others, invite under Smart Pune City, a pilot process initial meetings for Bena and Ond areas in Pune, Maharashtra for wheelchair-friendly footpaths, which are currently a reality now in these areas. He conceptualized the idea of a one-of-its-kind recreational facility, and with the help of other inclusion experts, architects, activists in inclusion space, they made a request to Pune Municipal Corporation to include recreation facilities in public areas like parks and public transit hubs as per persons with the disabilities standards. And under category A, the second recommendation, Pratishtha Deveshwar from Hoshiarpur, Punjab. Pratishtha is a graduate from LSR, College for Women, Delhi University, and is currently pursuing Masters of Public Policy from the University of Oxford. As the president of the Equal Opportunity Cell of her college, she worked towards enhancing accessibility and inclusion by conducting access audits, getting ramps built, providing accessible reading material to visually inspired students, conducting mobility workshops, ensuring that elevators are in good condition, and ensure that every event organized at college was inclusive, followed principles of universal design, and was accessible to all. That's Pratishtha Deveshwar from Punjab. In category B, friends, the mentions or recognitions, the first name, Astha Ashish Avinash from Vadodara, Gujarat. Astha is a 21-year-old final year student at the National Institute of Design with major in textile designing. She has designed loopers keeping in mind a learning aid that is in the form of a toy that can be played by children with and without disabilities. Loopers promotes inclusive design and universality. The chosen material for the loopers could glow under UV light. UV light is a tool used to identify functioning of the eye, primarily for partially visually impaired children with additional disabilities like Down syndrome or autism. Loopers aims at 3 things: problem solving, engagement, and enabling motor and physical movements. That's Astha Ashish Avinash. And also within category B, recognition, Akanksha Sharma and Bharat Surendra, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Akanksha and Bharat are postgraduate students of product design at the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. They have built product Typo out of a 2-week classroom workshop called Design for Special Needs, guided by Dr. Gayatri Menon. Typo specially targets helping kids with cerebral palsy to learn and write the English language while retaining or improving their sensory motory skills. They took a co-design approach to create a solution along with the stakeholder for the special need to learn language without having to write due to limited fine motor skills. They feel that universal design thinking should change from being an afterthought to the default way we design our products, spaces, services, and systems. And that tools should be designed to remove all impediments in the way of an individual's quest to accomplish something. Akanksha Sharma and Bharat Surendra. Congratulations to both of you. Friends, that brings us to the end of the NCPEDP Mphasis Award ceremony for 2020. Congratulations once again to all the awardees.
Sangeeta ji, I would like to come in.
Yeah, please.
Arun's video could not be played. If you could request them to play Arun Kumar's video.
Can we have Arun's video, please?
नमस्कार साथियों, मैं अरुण कुमार सिंह, अध्यक्ष झारखंड विकलांग मंच, महासचिव राष्ट्रीय विकलांग मंच। झारखंड विकलांग मंच राष्ट्रीय विकलांग मंच का एक राज्य इकाई है। इसी तरह राष्ट्रीय विकलांग मंच 10 राज्यों में कार्य कर रही है, जिससे हजारों की संख्या में विकलांग सक्रियवादी जुड़कर काम कर रहे हैं। और यह वॉलेंटियर बेस जन संगठन है और इस पर हम लोग अपने हक और अधिकार की बात करते हैं। झारखंड के अंदर विकलांग मंच ने स्टेट पॉलिसी बनाने में सक्रिय भूमिका निभाई है। सुगम मतदान की व्यवस्था को सुगम बनाने में भी सक्रिय भूमिका निभाई है। साथ ही रोजगार के क्षेत्रों में सरकारी नियोजनों या निजी क्षेत्रों में विकलांगों को रोजगार दिलाने के लिए आवाज़ उठाती रही है और हाई कोर्ट तक हम लोगों ने केस को लेकर गया है और जिसमें हमें सफलता भी मिली है। ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में मनरेगा में हम लोगों ने काफ़ी विकलांगों को जोड़कर रोजगार से जोड़ने का काम किया है। साथ ही साथ हम लोगों ने सरकारी योजनाओं का लाभ हजारों की संख्या में विकलांग लोगों को जोड़कर लाभ दिलाने का काम किया है। इसी तरह जहाँ भी विकलांग व्यक्ति के हक और अधिकार का हनन होता है तो यह संगठन पूरी जोरदार तरीके से आवाज उठाने का काम करती है। धन्यवाद।
Congratulations, Arun Kumar Singh from Jharkhand. Friends, I'd now like to invite our chief guest for the evening, Mrs. Shakuntala Dole Gamlin, Secretary, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, Ministry of Social Justice, Government of India. Mrs. Shakuntala Dole Gamlin is a 1984 batch Arunachal Pradesh, Goa, Mizoram Union Territories cadre IAS officer. She has earlier served as Chief Secretary of Delhi and thereafter Chief Secretary of Arunachal Pradesh. In her career spanning over 30 years, Mrs. Gamlin has worked in several positions in both state and union governments. She started her career as SDM South Andamans and later was appointed Director of Tourism in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Then later as Joint Secretary, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and as Director, International Relations, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. She has also worked as NDMC Chairperson and as Deputy Commissioner in the Municipal Corporation of Delhi. May I request Mrs. Shakuntala Dole Gamlin to please present the keynote address.
I think she just got disconnected. I'll check with her again.
Am I visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there intervals, or is it sort of sustained, or is it are there sort of halting sort of audio quality? What is it? Can you please tell me?
It is stable, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay. So I would start my my delivery of my speech. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
I would first like to compliment Mr. Som Mittal, Chairman, National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People, Mr. Srikant Kara, Chief Human Resource Officer, Mphasis, Mr. Nipun OS, AVP, and Head Corporate Social Responsibility Mphasis. Ms. Shilpi Kapoor, CEO, Barrier Break. Mr. Arman Ali, Executive Director, National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled Persons. And Ms. Rati Mishra, Advisor, National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People. I would also like to express, my gratitude to, the National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled Persons, who in partnership with the Mphasis 2020 has organized its 11th year of award ceremony to those who have brought in a lot of innovations in accessibility and also addressed issues of universal application of such accessible tools. Meanwhile, I would like to also express, my gratitude to all those who have won the awards, who are participating in this event, because the accessibility issues are challenging all of us, policymakers, engineers, governments, corporates, and innovators and inventors. The Act provides for accessibility and universal accessibility, not only in infrastructure, as in buildings, railway stations, airports, but it also prescribes that we should provide accessibility in information technology and in public transport systems. When we did address this question, we looked at, standards, not only from the point of view of building bylaws and harmonized building bylaws for, universal sort of application, but we realized that building bylaws, once it is made, it needs to be adopted by state governments, and state governments would have to enforce the harmonized building bylaws through their local bodies or through their municipal corporations or, their Zilla Parishads or the Panchayats, as the case may be. Similarly, when we talked of public transportation, we talked about accessibility of the public transport system, where we had to look at public transport bus body code designs. And when we talked about hydraulic floors and we talked about accessibility of public transport systems, we realized that, our rural roads and inter-district transport systems need sturdy vehicles. And, the height of the bus would be 900 mm and the doors would be narrow, and the manufacturing agencies or the entities needed to adapt the design to the local road conditions and not suitable for inter-district transportation systems. As we are talking of information technology applications, we realize that we have various kinds of needs for different disabilities. Like the visually impaired would require text-to-speech, and the low vision would require large size fonts and color contrast. And similarly, we would also need to see that other disabled category of persons, whether they are paraplegic, whether they are wheelchair bound, they need to sort of have accessibility to information technology. But challenges are so many that we have to look at, intellectual property rights of design. We have to look at innovations, and we have to get the stakeholders of policymakers, law enforcers, implementers of sort of local administration, citizens awareness, and bringing in designs that are standardized and accepted in terms of the local and the national laws, and perhaps even the international laws. So when you're looking at implementing the universal accessibility issues, particularly with reference to built-in environment, information technology, and public transportation systems, I think the subject is varied and sort of complex. It involves a lot of stakeholders, but yet I would say the National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People needs to be really complimented that they have tried to bring in more and more awareness, and they have also encouraged young innovators and inventors to look at locally adapting designs by way of which you can you can apply for a design sort of patent. You can actually replicate the model in terms of its large scale application, and you also can perhaps resolve very many questions of special education that need to be decoded, whether they are for the special learning disabilities, whether they are for the visually impaired, or whether it's a question of learning numbers, numeracy, or literacy. But whatever that may be, whatever the challenges that may be, we should not tire from going incrementally towards perfecting and trying to replicate the designs and the accessibility issues that can finally take us to our muchly sort of professed goal of universal accessibility. Because without accessibility, I think inclusivity cannot become a reality. So having said that, I would say that all of you who have brought in such designs, such innovations, such sort of discoveries and partnerships need to be commended and complimented. And I hope the spirits will always run high in terms of, the innovations and designs, because what we are doing today may be looked at from the narrow perspective that it is for a particular category of disability. It will only serve a narrow perspective. But when you look at it from the point of view of universal accessibility and inclusivity, you'll find that it has a very sort of wide and deep sort of inclusive and empowerment of not only the disabled, but the aged, the infirm, the women, the pregnant women, children, and many others. And finally, the universal inclusivity in terms of those who may have been left out because of the absence of technology, lack of proper accessible tools. So once again, I would like to sort of congratulate all of you and tell you that you're doing wonderful work. Please continue to do so. And all of you who have been given the award today must continue to incrementally improve your designs. They may not be perfect as yet, but I'm sure your innovative spirit and the encouragement of the National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People will take you further. And there are many issues regarding accessibility, whether it's a tool of learning or building curriculum. I find that it's very interesting and challenging, and it's engaging all of us. And we must keep ourselves engaged in the manner that it helps us progress and move towards, towards perfection, towards replicability universally, and towards acceptance of your tool in the manner that it can be even we can even sort of promote such technologies offshore as part of the Make in India campaign. So let me congratulate all of you. And let me thank Mr. Arman Ali, who have been pursuing that with me, that I must be there for your this function. And in fact, a little while ago, when the quality of the audio and video was a little disruptive, I had a good mind to suggest that I will record my speech and then send it to you. But as good fortune and as a part of, our technology challenges, I find that all of you are there, and by my voice and my video, I hope it's not getting interrupted, and all of you are able to sort of see me and hear me the way it is. And since I could not catch all of you from the beginning of the program. I would like to say that the program, with its noble objectives, will take you far and will be able to achieve much success. And Mr. Arman Ali has been one of our most illustrious partners as far as a civil society organization is concerned. I wish him well. I wish his organization and the Mphasis and all of you awardees and the participants that it's a great adventure which we all are exploring, which we are all hoping to take it forward. And it would be very satisfying for all of us that we would be able to set the milestones of universal accessibility one day. That will make society so much more inclusive. And all those who have been left behind and marginalized will be part of this great effort of universal partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was our chief guest, Mrs. Shakuntala Dole-Gamlin, Secretary, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, with her very encouraging words as part of her keynote address. Thank you once again, ma'am. Now, I'd like to request Mr. Som Mittal, Chairman NCPEDP, to present the closing remarks for this ceremony.
So you have to enable me to start my video.
Can we have Mr. Som Mittal's video?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, good evening, everybody, and thank you, Sangeeta, for being part of NCPDP all these years and for carrying this function. You do it so well on the stage and now on this the way that you have done it here. I just like to congratulate all the winners. We wish we could have these awards being given by the secretary herself, and for her to meet every one of you and compliment you in person. And but we have done the best that we could have under the circumstances. But everything has a silver lining. Today there are many more people who are attending this function who could never have attended this if it was just done in an auditorium in Delhi. So, but congratulations again. Ma'am, thank you very much. You have been
thank you
here and for your work. You have been a driver for this cause of the disabled, not only because it's a job that you're doing as a secretary for the department, but you're also your personal commitment. And I'm sure, ma'am, with all the work that you're doing, you will leave a legacy behind, which would say that you have made a big difference to this, community, which needs so much more help and attention that we need. So I'm sure with all your support, this will happen. I also would acknowledge my friends and colleagues from Mphasis who have set an example of what corporates can do by their enormous focus and by doing the cause of the disability end-to-end in a lot of ways. Ma'am, I just wanted to raise a few issues where we still need help, and COVID-19, as you know, has changed every aspect of our society for a lot of people. But I think this also exposed the inequality and the stark exclusion of people with disability. NCPDP very soon after the COVID had launched a report called Lockdown and Left Behind, which clearly highlighted how people with disabilities were and continue to be disproportionately impacted in access of healthcare, income opportunities, education, and social protection, each of them having a domino effect. We could say a large number of people are having it, but unfortunately, as it happens, the disabled get an unfair share of the causes and effects of this. COVID also proved to us that many of the demands that people with disabilities have made are not unreasonable, and that it's now a normal way that we could get and support them. It was really very heartening to see many organizations, including many government officers and others, who stepped in to provide relief to those most impacted by the lockdown. And some of them are our awardees today for their exemplary work. These individual work that was done need to be aggregated, analyzed for the best practices, and institutionalized so that we can use this for the future. Accessibility has become increasingly critical and now needs to be addressed even more. And technology can surely do it, as ma'am, you had mentioned yourself. It is not only the law of the land and something that is good to do, that we need to continue to design products and services which are accessible, the buildings and others that you spoke about, the adherence to the laws as well as to the guidelines issued by the building code. But we also sometimes, as business and so on, miss out that the people with disabilities and older people constitute a very, very large customer segment. In our own analysis, they could easily go up to about 15% of our own population. And just imagine what a big market that could be for you. So please design your products. There is market for it. There is commercial need for doing it. And I think it will benefit everybody. So please create this niche and continue to do all the good work that you're doing. Talking about this takes us to the issue of the upcoming census 2021. I'm not sure if ma'am connection dropped out, but Arman, I would request that if you could later on, if she is not on the, I can't see her here, you must take this up. You know, we need data, and the upcoming census 2021 is a great time for us to understand what's going on. We hear that the enumeration of the census is going to be largely digital, and unless accessibility is adhered to, a very large population of India's population may get excluded. And the result will be that we remain at the 2% that we have been over the years, in spite of the new act now recognizing 21 disabilities against the 8 that we were recognizing earlier. Governments and societies should not be shy of accepting a reality, as only when we appreciate the magnitude of the issue can we find appropriate solutions. We were very disappointed when the recent NSSO survey showed that we had just 2.1% disabled people when the number actually is multifold, which would mean that in future surveys, we correct it. And I think in the census ahead, government has to do with conviction if we want to execute Prime Minister Sugamya Bharat in both letter and spirit. We cannot afford to postpone this any longer, because what doesn't get counted does not count. I'm hopeful that the Secretary would personally review and ensure that we have the right questions and the people executing the census are trained suitably and sensitized. The NCPDP, along with its partner, has subject matter expertise, and we could help in this task. We are also extremely encouraged by the record number of nominations we received this year, despite of the lockdown, and I'd like to thank the jury for their hard work to select the best of so many. I just have one request and plea to all of you winners, that please ensure that your efforts, your designs are scaled so that we don't leave it as a proof of concept or as a award-winning entry. It should be something that finds its place in the market, and a lot of people are able to. To Ma'am Secretary, I would say that we at NCPDP and our partners are committed to the cause. However, as you would know, that government plays a critical role, and millions depend on the actions that government takes. And we need, ma'am, your help to give it the priority it deserves. So I hope, Arman, if ma'am was not here, you'll be able to send this to her. But again, I'd like to thank all the winners and congratulate them. I'd like to thank Sangeeta for conducting it so well. Thank you, Shrikant and Nipun for being here, Shilpi for helping us out, and Sangeeta for conducting it so well, and all of you who have joined to applaud and recognize the effort that's going on. We at NCPDP are going to look at all our awardees that we have over the last 10 years and see and hope that the awards that we gave them encourage them and they have actually scaled all their efforts. So thank you very much. And with this, Sangeeta, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mittal. And knowing that you're at the helm of affairs and with Arman leading, I'm sure the wonderful cause that we're all joined here for carries on and scales further heights. Thank you very much, everyone, for having got connected, even though on the digital platform. But like Mr. Mittal said, every cloud has a silver lining. So probably more people have managed to attend this, and especially through the Facebook and YouTube live streaming as well. So it's great to be connected again. Thank you very much, everyone. Please keep well, stay healthy, look after yourselves, and till we meet again, thank you and hearty congratulations to all the awardees. Thank you and namaskar.